Welcome to Crafty Little Beach. This is Julie. Today I have a Dollar Tree DIY for you. I'm going to make a beehive. You can use either one of these that are available at Dollar Tree, the arch windows. I have the wood one. There's also a plastic one. I'm basically going to use it for the shape to make a beehive for a wall hanging. I want to cover it with burlap, and I'm using the faux burlap bag from the Dollar Tree. I love crafting with that. It has a plastic coating on the back. It doesn't fray. It's a faux burlap, but it gives you that burlap feel. What I want to do is cover this arched window sign with the fabric to give me that great beehive shape. I think it's the perfect size for that. So I just lay it on top of my burlap bag like this, and I'm going to use a Sharpie, kind of going like a half an inch around, all the way around, to make a little bit of a pattern here out of the burlap bag, all the way down here to the bottom. I want to make sure that there's plenty to cover the sides as well. And while the bag is folded like that, I'm going to cut out a front and a back because we're going to completely cover this, almost making a pillow where the frame is in the middle instead of the stuffing. I guess you could always use stuffing too if you wanted to. And as you can see, this burlap just cuts it so well. It doesn't fray or anything like that. That's why I love crafting with it. And I just hold them together, cut all the way around, and I'm going to get two perfect cutouts of this fabric that I need to make the beehive. It does have a little welcome sign on the front of the window. I thought I would go ahead and pop that off, and I can always use that in the final project. I think it will be cute. I want to do kind of a welcome to your hive feel. So I pop that off, tearing off any excess paper that's still attached to this. And I want to try to get as much of that off as I can and make sure there's no nails or anything sticking up on that might come through my fabric. I want that to blend in. And I just sandwich it in between the two pieces of burlap, just like this. It's going to give me a 3D quality to this when we add this to our bee sign. I do want to make sure that I have any of the Sharpie cut off for sure, and trying to see which way I like it best. I'm going to go around hot gluing the edges together, just like you're making like a little DIY no-sew pillow. I go all the way around with hot glue and then just set the next piece of fabric on there, going around and gluing them to itself. It really gave me the perfect depth and everything I was looking for this project without having to stuff it or anything like that. Just having the sign inside of it, and it made it really sturdy, of course, with the wood inside. Now I want to give it that like bumpy feel that you see with like a beehive. I'm going to do that with some twine. I start here at the top, and I'm just going to attach it with a dot of hot glue here to the back. And I'm going to simply wrap that around, giving it the different sections. It's going to be at a slight angle, but I think that's going to be okay. Going about an inch and a half down, just wrapping it around. It's going to give you that little bumpy feel that you're going for when you're making a beehive. And I do that all the way to the bottom, trying to make sure that it is evenly spaced. And I'll just glue that onto the back. And we have a great little beehive for this craft DIY. I think it turned out pretty cute. It's exactly what I was thinking. For this sign itself, I'm using a Dollar Tree chalkboard. I love crafting with these because they are nice and thick. They don't bow. The only thing is they have a lot of pattern on at least one side of them. So you're going to have to go about covering that up somehow. For the back of this DIY, I'm going to use some of the honeycomb fabric from the Dollar Tree. They have several varieties of this. I try to pick some of this up every year because I think it can be great for bee crafting. And I want to cover the sign with this. Instead of like using a scrapbook paper or something like that, I'm just going to cover it with fabric. So I'm going to lay my chalkboard on top of the fabric here so I can see how much exactly I'm going to need to be able to cut out of this. And I'm just going to sketch this out. I had a yellow Sharpie, so you really won't be able to see that through the fabric if I don't get it all cut off, and I just go around and trace that out. Just an easy way to kind of pre-cut this without any measuring or anything like that. And I had kind of a rough edge on there, so I didn't go all the way to the edge, so I could cut that off, get a perfect cut there. And the fabric did a pretty good job not fraying. I am going to frame this out a little bit with some rope, so that will help as well. To cover this, I'm just going to use Mod Podge, go over. The fabric is nice and colorful, so I don't think you'll be able to see any of this pattern through because we're going to be decorating the sign a lot too. So I'm just going to use that. So the back of mine will be finished with just the black surface. And I just smooth that out. And luckily, it provided really great coverage. Sometimes with the fabrics, then you'll be able to see the writing through, but it wasn't the case with this one. I just use a dry paper towel, smoothing that out, trying to make sure that I have good coverage and no bubbling here. Also cleaning up the back. If you have any excess fabric around the sides, just go ahead and trim that off. I want to make it look as flat as I can around here. And again, I want to try to prevent any fraying from the fabric. I decided to try my rotary cutter on this one to see if it would do a little bit better job getting close to the edge of the chalkboard. And it actually did a really good job of giving me a really close cut there. And I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to use my little Cricut leader to poke some holes here. It had the original holes in here. I'm going to have a vertical sign just like it was before with the chalkboard. And then just put some twine in here, knotting it on the front to make a simple hanger for this one. I want to decorate this one with the beehive, that welcome sign that we took off the little window sign, and some of the Scrabble letters to spell out a message for a cute little bee sign for spring. So that looks pretty good. The beehive is going to cover most of it, as you can see. I want it to be offset a little bit, so I'm going to have it go off to the side a little bit here on the left. And I just attached that with hot glue. And again, I get that great 3D effect because I actually have the window in there, making that nice and puffy, which was the look I was going for my beehive. And I think that is ready to go. These are the tiles that I'm using from the Dollar Tree to spell out a message. And I thought we could say, welcome to our hive, have hive kind of go down the side like that to give it a lot of character. So welcome to our next to it and then hive down the side. I'm glad I saved that welcome sign. It's perfect for this. And I kind of mixes it up a little bit with the different fonts and stuff. And I just use some hot glue to glue all of the little Scrabble tiles to it. I love that you can get these at the Dollar Tree now. The wood ones are definitely my favorite. I don't really like the black and white ones very much for my crafting. I don't do a lot of just classic farmhouse. And then I do want a little opening here on the beehive. I decided to do like a little door almost at the bottom by doing a little arch with some black paint, painting the burlap. Making sure I don't get any on the fabric behind, a little opening there. And then we're going to frame out the sign with some Dollar Tree rope. I always love doing rope borders on these signs. It makes them thicker. It's going to finish off that raw edge of the fabric. And of course, rope with my bee crafting, I always try to include it. I think it's so fun. I just use one piece going all the way around, starting in the corner, hot gluing that to the edge of my fabric here. And I think it's the perfect final touch to that part of the sign. I do want to decorate it a little bit more with some flowers and bees to really give it some spring vibes. I just glue it all the way to the end, and these are the wooden bees from the Dollar Tree that I'm going to use to attach. They're a little bit larger than the ones that I get on Amazon. I really like them, but they can be a little bit hard to find at Dollar Tree, I have found. And I'm just going to kind of scatter those all over here, attaching those with hot glue to our beehive. And then I want to add some flowers. These are just some smaller yellow wildflowers from the Dollar Tree, but I think the bright yellow color is going to work and they are a perfect scale for this, where I can kind of decorate down here in the corner where I don't have a lot going on. Just to provide another texture, a fun thing here, I just glue that here to the fabric itself, having it go a little bit off to the side. And I was trying to decide if I needed more bees, more flowers. I think that less is more with the bees, but I am going to add maybe a flower like right up here to the top. And then, you can't really have too many flowers. So maybe some over here too. Really anywhere I had an opening that I didn't have anything, I can fill in with flowers. And maybe one more bee. And we're done with this cute little beehive project. I think it's so cute. I love all the different fabrics, burlaps, twine, all the different textures, the flowers, and of course a little message on there, welcome to our hive. A cute way to make a little beehive sign. If you wanted to use that beehive without actually attaching it to a sign, I'm sure you could. Since it's nice and stiff, you can make a base for it, kind of make it freestanding if you wanted to. But this is how mine turned out, our little welcome to our hive.